Imagine you're on a boat, sailing through calm waters. You look at the horizon and everything seems peaceful. But beneath the surface, the current is already pulling you toward an abyss. This is how many men experience their marriage, believing everything is fine until one day they realize their wife is no longer there, even though she still lives in the same house. It's not that women are unfaithful on a whim, it's that most men don't see the signs until it's too late. You didn't hear her complaints, you didn't notice her growing distance, and now, another man, a dream, or even a phone screen has taken the space you neglected. Today I'm going to tell you what no one else dares to, what's really happening with your wife and why so many married women feel the need for a lover, even if they'd never admit it. Stay with me, because what you'll discover in the final point might completely change the way you see relationships. I'm Celia, and today I'm going to open your eyes. When was the last time you did something with your wife that wasn't tied to routine? I'm not talking about sitting together in front of the TV or discussing the electricity bill or the kids. I mean a moment where you truly made her feel like a woman, desired, alive. If you can't remember, then the trap is already closed around you, and you didn't even notice. The routine trap is the silent killer of desire. You got used to seeing her every day, waking up next to her, sharing meals in silence, assuming she'd always be there because she always has been. But what you don't see is that while you're running on autopilot, she's fading. Her desire, her admiration, her connection with you, it's all wearing away. Not because she decided to one day, but because everyday life has turned her into just another part of the house. Like the couch, the fridge, the walls, invisible, emotionless, and the most dangerous part. When a woman feels invisible, she starts looking for a reflection elsewhere. Imagine a man who spends years building a house, brick by brick with effort and dedication. But once it's finished, he stops painting it, stops fixing it, lets time and dirt take over until one day, he no longer feels proud of it. It no longer inspires him. That's how she sees you now. You used to be a challenge, a man who made her feel alive, someone worth dressing up for, worth wanting. But over time, without realizing it, you became part of the background. The same clothes, the same words, the same predictable attitude that no longer sparks anything. And you still expect her to desire you like she did in the beginning? Here's the truth no one tells you. Desire doesn't disappear, it just moves elsewhere. And if she no longer feels excitement with you, she'll look for it somewhere else. At first, not necessarily in another man. It could be in her work, her friends, TV shows, social media, anything that makes her feel what you no longer do. But when that emptiness grows, and someone comes along who looks at her in a way you haven't in years, who says something that makes her feel special again, that's when the abyss opens, and you don't even understand why. But this isn't about blaming her or giving up. This is about opening your eyes and realizing that if you don't change the way you live your relationship, someone else will fill the space you've left empty. It's not about being rich, handsome, or young. It's about presence, energy, making her feel that she still has a man by her side, not just a roommate. Routine doesn't kill love, indifference does. And if you keep assuming everything is fine just because there are no fights, then I have bad news for you. You're already losing, and you don't even know it. If routine has killed the desire in your marriage, there's something even more dangerous that may have happened without you realizing it. A lack of passion is a serious problem, but there's one far worse, when your wife stops seeing you as a man and starts seeing you as her child, or worse, as her mother. And if you think this isn't happening to you, listen carefully, because it's more common than you think. We've reached the second key point of this video, the silent transformation that turns many wives into mothers to their own husbands. The question is, how did you get here? The answer is simple, but brutal. A man stops being a leader in his relationship when he starts relying on his wife for everything. When, instead of being the pillar of the family, he becomes someone who needs to be guided, corrected, or rescued. This doesn't mean a man can't receive support from his partner. It means that the moment she feels she's taking care of you more than you take care of her, desire dies with no chance of coming back. Female psychology works in a brutally simple way. A woman can love her child unconditionally, but she will never desire him. And if you've stopped being the man who leads, protects, and inspires, and instead become someone who needs to be led by the hand, she still loves you, yes, but like a child, and no one wants to sleep with a child. Think about it. How many times have you leaned on her emotionally, expecting her to solve the problems? How many times have you avoided making tough decisions and preferred that she take charge? How many times has she said things like, "If I don't do it, no one will," or "I feel like I have to be on top of you for everything"? These phrases, which may seem harmless, are signs that she stopped seeing you as a man and started seeing you as a burden. And when that happens, attraction disappears. There's something many men don't realize until it's too late. Masculinity isn't just about providing, it's about direction, security, and decisiveness. It doesn't matter how much money you bring into the house if your attitude is that of someone who needs to be led. It doesn't matter how many years you've been together if she feels like she's raising an adult instead of sharing her life with a real man. And when this happens, you start noticing subtle changes. Her tone of voice shifts when she talks to you. She gives you orders instead of suggestions. Her patience turns into frustration. She treats you like a clumsy child instead of the man she once dreamed of being with. And if you think this doesn't matter, ask yourself, do you want to be the man she desires or the son she tolerates? The problem is that this doesn't happen overnight. It's a slow process where, little by little, you give up your place. Maybe at first, it was convenient to let her make all the decisions, to take the reins on certain things, to handle more and more. But each time you did, without realizing it, you killed a little more of her desire for you. Because desire requires admiration. And tell me, how can a woman admire someone she feels she has to take care of? The worst part is that most men only react when it's too late, when she no longer looks at them the same way, when physical touch disappears, when every conversation turns into a list of complaints, or when suddenly any other man seems more interesting to her than you, but it's not magic, and it's not a mystery. She stopped seeing you as a man because, at some point, you stopped acting like one. This isn't about blaming her or making excuses. It's about reclaiming the place you should have never lost. A man who leads his life inspires respect and desire. A man who drifts, who doesn't take control, who expects his wife to solve everything for him, becomes dead weight in the relationship. And dead weight is never attractive. So tell me, are you still expecting her to look at you the way she used to, while behaving like someone who needs to be guided? Because if that's the case, I guarantee you the problem isn't her. So far, we've talked about how routine kills desire, and how many men unknowingly turn into their wives' sons, instead of being the men they desire. But this is where the battle gets even tougher, because it's not just about what you do or don't do, it's about competition, and whether you see it or not, it's always there. We've reached the third key point of this video, and this is where things start to shift, the invisible war between the husband and the lover. Don't fool yourself. Every married woman is constantly making comparisons in her mind. And if what you offer in the relationship is less fulfilling than what she finds elsewhere, you lose. But I'm not just talking about another man. Sometimes the lover isn't a person. It's an idea, a feeling, an emotion she no longer gets from you. And that's the real danger. Think about it. If your wife meets someone who speaks to her with more energy than you do, who makes her laugh more than you do, who makes her feel desired in a way you no longer do, what do you think will happen? It doesn't matter how long you've been together or how much you've shared. If she starts feeling that there's more excitement outside the relationship than within it, her desire begins to shift. And most men don't see it until it's too late. This is where a practical strategy can make all the difference. Stop assuming she's secure with you. Emotional security is important, yes, but desire thrives on uncertainty, movement, and change. And if you're not creating those changes, someone else will. The key is to bring back what once made you attractive to her, the mystery, the challenge, the ability to surprise her. And no, this isn't about playing mind games or pretending to be someone you're not. It's about understanding that relationships die when they become too predictable. Imagine two restaurants. One serves the same dish every day, the same menu, the same routine. The other introduces new dishes, fresh experiences, unexpected flavors. Which one do you think people return to with excitement? The same applies to relationships. If you've spent years acting the same way, saying the same things, following the same routine, don't be surprised when she starts looking elsewhere. Because the competition isn't always another man. Sometimes it's the version of herself that longs for something more. The most effective way to apply this in your life is simple. Reintroduce the element of surprise. You don't need grand gestures, but you do need to break the monotony in unexpected ways. Change how you interact with her. Step out of routine without warning. Stop being so accessible, so predictable. When she feels there's still something to discover in you, that there's still a man with energy, vision, and purpose, then the balance shifts in your favor. But if you remain the same man she has completely figured out, the one who no longer challenges or excites her, then get ready to watch desire fade beyond repair. Before we move on to the next point, let me know something in the comments. Do you think routine is the real relationship killer, or is there something deeper at play? Write it down below and tell me where you're watching from. And if this message is making you think, hit subscribe and leave a like, because what's coming next will open your eyes even more. There are still crucial lessons ahead, and the last one is the one that changes everything. If you've made it this far, you already understand that routine kills desire, that the power dynamic in a relationship determines whether you're desired or merely tolerated, and that there's always competition, even if you don't see it. But there's something even more dangerous than all of this, something that has been sold as a virtue when, in reality, it's the perfect trap for men who end up losing everything. The lie of unconditional love. Now, let's talk about the fourth key point in this video, and this one is going to hurt. Unconditional love does not exist in a romantic relationship. I'll say it again, because after years of hearing the opposite, this idea might be hard to accept. Love between adults always has conditions, and if you don't meet them, you lose it. But here's the trap that so many men fall into. They believe that just because they've built a life together, shared decades, and been a good husband, she will stay no matter what. And that is the lie that has destroyed millions of men. Think about it. If love were truly unconditional, why do divorces exist? Why do women leave their husbands after 30 years? Why does a wife who once looked at you with admiration now see you with indifference? The answer is simple. Love is based on an exchange. You give something and she responds to that. And I'm not talking about money, I'm talking about value, presence, desire, leadership. If you stop bringing value to the relationship, there's no reason for the other person to stay. But the problem is, men don't realize this until they're already standing at the edge of the cliff. This is where everything falls apart. When a man starts taking his wife's love for granted, he stops trying. He assumes that because there was love in the past, there will always be love in the future. He lets himself go. He gets comfortable. He stops being the man she once admired. And he does it without realizing it, because in his mind, she should love him no matter what. But reality doesn't work that way. Romantic love is not the same as a mother's love for her child. It's harsh, but it's true. A mother can love her child even if he's a mess, even if he fails, even if he gives nothing in return. But a wife cannot. She loved you because she saw something in you that made her feel alive, secure, desired, something that inspired admiration. If that disappears, so does her love. Maybe she won't leave physically right away, but her desire will. Her interest will. Her respect, what truly holds a relationship together, will fade. And that's when she starts looking elsewhere, even if she's not consciously aware of it. The worst part? When men finally notice, they try to win her back using the wrong strategy. Instead of becoming the man she once admired, they beg, they remind her of their history together. They cling to the idea that she should stay because of everything they've built. But that only pushes her further away. because a woman doesn't choose a man out of pity or shared memories. She chooses him for how he makes her feel now. And if today she feels nothing, if being with you has become an obligation instead of a desire, then what happens next is inevitable. Accepting that love has conditions isn't pessimism, it's power. Because once you understand this, you stop living with the false security that she'll always be there, and you start acting like the man you were always meant to be. Not for her, for you. The problem isn't that she changed, it's that you changed first. You stopped being what a woman needs to feel desire and admiration, and when that disappears, everything else crumbles. So tell me, are you going to keep believing in fairy tales, or are you going to start seeing reality for what it is? Because as long as you think love lasts forever without effort, the only thing that will be eternal is the shock you'll feel when you finally realize she stopped loving you a long time ago. She just hasn't told you yet. If you've understood by now that love isn't unconditional and that no one stays just because of shared history, then you're already seeing reality differently. But what comes next is even more dangerous, because it's not just about your wife losing desire for you. It's about the fact that there might not even be another man. And yet, you've already been replaced. We've reached the 5th key point of this video, and this is the hardest truth to accept. The lover isn't always another man, and that's the real problem. Your idea of infidelity is outdated. It doesn't always start with secret messages or someone coming in to seduce her. Many times, the other man is something else entirely. Her job, her friends, her phone, even her kids. And in all of these cases, you've already been pushed aside without realizing it. Think about it. How many times has she chosen to stay glued to her phone instead of talking to you? How often has she preferred making plans with her friends over spending time alone with you? How often do her adult children seem more important to her than your relationship? Here's the part most men refuse to accept. If a woman has a more exciting life outside of the relationship than within it, it doesn't matter whether another man is involved. The result is the same. Her interest in you fades, her attention shifts elsewhere, and you're left wondering when everything changed. The problem is that too many men think the only real threat is another man, that as long as there's no physical infidelity, everything is fine. But what truly destroys a marriage isn't a sudden betrayal, it's the slow erosion of interest. Because when she starts finding more satisfaction in other things than in your relationship, it's only a matter of time before you become the last thing on her mind. Look around. If your wife is always on her phone, lost in social media, obsessed with things that don't include you, it's not just because she likes staying informed or is too busy. It's because something in her life excites her more than you do. And if you don't do anything about it, you'll keep watching yourself turn into just another piece of furniture in the house, present but irrelevant. So how do you fix this? Not with begging, not with complaints, not with desperate attempts to force her attention back on you. You fix it by doing what you did in the beginning, by being a more interesting option than any outside distraction. You can't compete with her phone, her friends, or anything else if you're still acting like a dull, predictable, lifeless man. The only way to get back on her radar is by proving, through actions, that you're still a man with purpose, with ambition, with a life of your own. A lot of men think the problem is the woman, that if she loses interest, it's because they're all like that. No, the problem is that most men let their guard down. They stop challenging, surprising, and leading. And when that happens, she finds excitement elsewhere. Not necessarily because she wants to betray you, but because human nature craves emotion, craves something that makes her feel alive. And if it's not you, it'll be something or someone else. So tell me, do you still think the only time you need to worry is if there's another man? Because if you do, you've already lost without knowing it. If you've understood that the other man isn't always a man, but anything that excites her more than you, then you already know you can't afford to be the dull background of her life. But here's the cruelest part of it all. It's not that she wakes up one day and suddenly decides to leave you. It happens slowly, silently, while you keep believing everything is fine. Until one day, you realize there's no turning back. We've reached the sixth key point of this video, and this is what most men refuse to see. From complaints to abandonment, the warning sign you chose to ignore. Because the truth is, women don't leave overnight. Before she reaches the point of wanting out, before she loses all interest in you, before someone else takes your place, there were signs. Small ones at first, then more obvious. And you ignored them. Imagine this. You wake up one morning and realize there are no more good morning kisses, no touch, no laughter, no interest. Her messages are dry, her responses are automatic. She only talks to you when necessary, and when you try to get close, there's distance. But the most painful part isn't that. The most painful part is remembering that, years ago, she wasn't like this. That there was a time when she looked at you with desire, when she wanted to be near you, when she cared about how you felt. What happened? It wasn't one single moment. It was a process, a slow erosion that you failed to see. Women don't just walk away suddenly. First, they complain. They tell you you're not the same, that there are no more little gestures, that you don't talk like you used to. They say it in 1,000 ways, but you brush it off as temporary, as an exaggeration. Then, they stop complaining. That's when you should be worried. Because when a woman stops arguing, when she stops trying to fix things, it's because she's already accepted that there's nothing left to fix. And in that moment, even if she's still physically there, emotionally, she's already gone. This is the fatal mistake most men make, confusing the absence of fights with stability. They think that if she's no longer complaining, it must mean everything is fine. But the truth is the opposite. When a woman stops complaining, what she's actually doing is disconnecting. She shuts down. She gives up. And when that happens, the door is wide open for someone else to step in, or for her to simply wake up one day and tell you she feels nothing anymore. The big question is, can it be reversed? In some cases, yes, but not with promises, not with empty apologies, not with last-minute, superficial changes. It can only be reversed when you understand that everything you once took for granted is no longer guaranteed. That if she has lost interest, it's because something in you changed first. And this isn't about blaming her or making excuses like women are just like that. It's about opening your eyes and realizing that if you don't take action now, one day you'll wake up in an empty house, wondering when you lost everything. The irony is that when men finally realize what's happening, it's often too late. Because she didn't make the decision in that moment. She made it months or even years ago, when there was still time to do something, but you weren't paying attention. And when you finally wake up to reality, there may be nothing left to save. So tell me, are you going to wait until silence says it all? Or are you going to start moving before it's too late? If you've made it this far, you already know the truth. Nothing is lost overnight. It's not an accident. It's not bad luck. It's a process that unfolded right in front of you while you did nothing. The signs were there, but you chose to ignore them. You got comfortable. You became predictable. You thought love was eternal, that she would always be there, that routine was normal, and that things just were the way they were. And now, as everything crumbles around you, as you realize the desire is gone, the respect has faded, and the connection you once had is nothing but a distant memory, you're asking yourself if there's anything you can do. We've reached the seventh and final point of this video, and here's the only truth that really matters. Can it be reversed? Only if you accept this uncomfortable reality. And here it is. You can't get back what you lost if you remain the same man who lost it. There are no shortcuts, no magic words. No instant fixes. Either you change or nothing changes. Think of a fire. A house doesn't burn down all at once. First, there's smoke, then sparks, then a small flame that, if left unchecked, grows until it consumes everything in its path, leaving behind nothing but ashes. What's the point of trying to rebuild on ashes if you haven't learned what started the fire? If your relationship is in ruins, you can't just wish for things to go back to how they used to be, because how they used to be is exactly what led you here. The only thing you can do is become someone who will never make the same mistakes again. That means it's not enough to just be more attentive for a few weeks. It's not enough to promise her you'll change just because now you're afraid of losing her. She won't believe empty words. What will actually make her look at you differently is if she sees a man who respects himself, who has a life of his own, who keeps growing, who doesn't need her to feel complete, but still chooses to walk his path with her. A man who no longer lives in comfort, but in challenge. If you're waiting for her to change first, you've already lost. If you think she is the only problem, you've already lost. If you believe you can win her back without changing yourself, you've already lost. But if you understand that desire is not a right, it's something you earn every single day, then there's still a chance. The question is, are you going to do something with what you've just heard? Or will you just close this video and go back to living the same way, waiting for a miracle that will never come? If you've made it this far, it means you're different. Not everyone has the strength to hear uncomfortable truths all the way through. Most people prefer to avoid, distract themselves, and keep living in the comfortable lie that everything will be fine without taking action. But not you. You've seen reality for what it is, and now you have two choices: ignore it or do something about it. The question is, what will you do with what you just heard? Because nothing will change just because you understand the problem. Knowing isn't enough. What truly shapes your future is what you do from this moment on. You can keep living the way you have, hoping luck is on your side, or you can take control, make the changes you need, and become the kind of man who will never lose what truly matters again. But that choice is yours alone. Drop a comment with the phrase, "Change starts with me," and tell me where you're watching from. I want to know how many of you are truly ready to take action, not just listen. I'm Celia, and this channel exists for one reason: to open your eyes. We're not here to entertain you, we're here to challenge you, push you, and remind you that you still have the power to change your life, but only if you're willing to do it. If this message resonated with you, subscribe now and join this community of men who have decided to wake up. And don't keep this truth to yourself, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Because sometimes, one conversation is enough to change everything. This conversation isn't over. On screen, you'll find 2 videos that dive even deeper into everything we've just talked about. Pick one and keep watching, because the worst thing you could do right now is stay exactly where you are.